So today let's chat about how you can shift your nervous system to resolve your emotional eating. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Michelle. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist specializing in emotional eating. And today I wanted to chat a little bit about shifting your nervous system so that you can resolve your emotional eating. Because when we are dysregulated, we're stressed, we're overwhelmed, that triggers more emotional eating. And we need to be able to shift our nervous system, shift what's happening in order to resolve this pattern. And so when we are triggered and we're in a stressful state, what happens is that we are actually going to have all of the symptoms that we're trying to get away from. So we're going to emotionally eat. We're going to have poor moods, poor digestion, stress responses, poor immunity. And this is going to create a pathway for disease and chronic illness. And when we shift our nervous system to rest and digest, and we are able to resolve our emotional eating, we know how to shift out of this pattern. That's where we create calm, ease, we feel good, our mood is boosted, we have better digestion, better immunity, we're going to have more confidence and self-esteem. So this is physically what's happening in the body. When we have this emotional eating pattern, we won't ever truly get to rest and digest. We have to resolve it on these deeper levels. And so when we can do that regularly, most of the time, we're going to be in the nervous system that's going to give us the results that we want versus the symptoms that we've been carrying around for years and decades. So emotional eating is a coping mechanism, and it means that we use food to cope, to numb out, distract from any distress, discomfort, uncomfortable emotions, stressors in our life. Coping doesn't mean the pattern's resolved, and it doesn't mean we have shifted our nervous system. We might feel a bit better, we might have some relief, but it actually doesn't shift it on a deeper level. On a deeper level, we're still in this chronic stress state. We've just managed it where we can move on with life. But over time, just being in this low level of stress and being triggered creates the symptoms. It's almost like a snowball. It just keeps piling up until it gets bigger and bigger, and we reach our capacity, and all of the coping that we've been doing, whether it's with food or distracting ourselves, whatever we've done, the yo-yo diets, whatever we've done to try to manage it, it can no longer help us. We need to get to the root. And it's only by getting into the root of the pattern that we can truly shift the nervous system and know how to do that so we can get the results that we're looking after. And so there is a particular way I work with clients. There's a layered approach to resolving your emotional eating to really get into these deeper roots. So when I was struggling with emotional eating, I thought, the issue is food. I need to control food. So I tried all the diets and I yo-yoed and I was trying diets and I just thought I needed more willpower. And then part of me was like, well, also I need to control my body. So I'm going to do the workouts and the personal training and just work out excessively, and that's going to do it. And then I was like, okay, so I'm going to try to manage my emotions, manage them. So I went to therapy and I tried to switch out my thoughts, switch out my beliefs, and that was really temporary. So everything I did, it didn't get into the root of the pattern, because at the time I didn't really know what I had, and I didn't know what layers I needed to look at and what was really going on. And so at the very root of your emotional eating, because it's a coping mechanism, it would have been developed in childhood, and we need to meet those deeper needs in order to resolve this. But as this pattern sort of grows, it impacts our relationship to food and our body. And of course, it's deeply impacting our relationship to our emotions. And so in our society, we're given a lot of band-aids and magic bullets and dangling carrots of do this, it'll fix you. And that's why we get caught up in these quick fixes and we think, it's just this one thing we have to do. It feels really hard for us to put in the effort and energy unless we reach this tipping point and nothing is working anymore. And if you put in that energy and effort over the years and decades you've used to distract and run away from this, it's much less effort to actually resolve this at the root. And then you can sustain it and it becomes effortless and automatic versus constantly being in this yo-yo. So how do we move through these layers so that we're shifting the nervous system and shifting the way you're resolving this pattern so you actually get true change? And so the first area I start with clients is really around true nourishment. Our relationship to food, we can't throw it away. We can't give it up. It's not like if we had a drug addiction, we can just, decide not to use it. Although those coping mechanisms come out in other ways, like with food, we need to have food in our life. So we have to have a relationship to food and understand food and understand how to nourish ourselves. This will also help us discern true from emotional hunger and the opening of this pattern when we're actually using food as a drug to cope or soothe ourselves. And so it's important that we're knowing and connecting to true hunger in our body, feeling what it feels like to satisfy our hunger and to optimize what we're taking in, the foods that we're taking in, optimizing our digestion, which optimizes our mood, which can be a trigger for emotional eating. So we're learning how to strategically do this, feeling into our body, moving away from the diet mentality and restrictive mentality, because that restrictive mentality is just pushing you into the fight or flight response. And over time, it just puts you back into all the symptoms you don't want. Yes, at first you're going to get a quick hit and a quick win, but over time it's going to damage your body, your metabolism, and your stress response so that it's going to be more difficult to use these quick fixes. Again, this is the dangling carrot. You need something sustainable that's working with your body. So truly nourishing yourself, optimizing your digestion, knowing when you're truly hungry versus emotionally hungry is going to help you connect back to you. The second area that is really impacted by the emotional eating pattern is around our body. So again, we have this relationship with our body. Because of this pattern, our deeper needs weren't met of being seen and accepted and validated. And in our society, if we look a certain way, we think we're going to be accepted and validated, and we want to control our body. And this is not, I'm not trying to say that we don't have a healthy set point and our body needs to get to that place. But when we're shaming ourselves, restricting ourselves, trying to punish ourselves, put ourselves into this box, or not even looking at our basic needs of, knowing how to rest or how that impacts our hunger, or not understanding our body, we're trying to force it into doing something that we want it to do, and then we shame it when it doesn't look the way we want it to look. And so this shifts us into that fight or flight response. And again, we think if we work out extra hard or we do this 30-day challenge, we're going to get the body. And that's a quick fix. It's not sustainable over time, over years of maintaining a healthy movement routine. And so that puts us into the fight or flight response, and that damages us more and more over time. So we're going to go through that 30-day challenge, and maybe for 6 months, we don't do anything because we've just pushed ourselves past our limit. We've bullied ourselves into this versus doing something that's actually in alignment with our body. And we're not having body acceptance. And so body acceptance is really understanding the rhythms and rituals of your body, accepting your body where it's at right now, so you're not shaming it and criticizing it in the mirror. And that's going to shift you into a calm nervous system. And that's going to shift your body to getting to its healthy. And so it's not about the quick fixes. It's about sustaining this and knowing that your body is going to shift, but you don't have to fight it. Because in fighting it and controlling it, you're actually putting yourself into the nervous system that's going to give you the symptoms you don't want, like the weight gain and the poor mood and poor digestion. The third area that's going to be so key to shifting and resolving this pattern is, of course, around emotions. We need to learn how to move through, integrate, process those emotions under our emotional eating pattern. This is not just about bypassing and switching out thoughts and, telling ourselves we shouldn't think that and feel that way. It's really following these triggers and these episodes back to the root and resolving it there and learning how to meet our true emotional needs, how to hold that space for ourselves, how to not shame ourselves around our emotions, to understand ourselves on this deeper level and process it through the body. When we're in non-acceptance of our emotions, we hold on to them in our body and we shame ourselves. What we've been doing when we numb out and cope with food is essentially not knowing how to be with emotions, but also saying to ourselves, it's also giving ourselves the message that we can't be seen and heard and understood, because we'll go to food to distract from what's really going on inside. And so when we're able to do that physiologically, we release all that stress and pent up emotion, and the body will relax and come back to ease and calm. As we shift out of this and resolve it, it'll bring the nervous system down and shift out of that stress response. So you will physiologically feel through this a shift in your body. Through all of these layers, you're feeling a shift in your nervous system from fight or flight to rest and digest, so that you can feel ease and calm and peace and confidence most of the time. And recognizing when you're triggered into emotional eating, recognizing how to meet your needs in terms of food, body, emotion, so that when you're triggered into that stressful state, you know how to shift back quite easily into a more calm state. Life is up and down. We're going to have challenges. We're going to be triggered into these states. It's not about maintaining calm 100% of the time. It's about recognizing and building up your capacity to hold that. And that is how you're going to help yourself resolve your emotional eating pattern. We need to look at all of these layers. And so as a tangible first step, I always recommend to everyone, and this is the first lesson I give to paid clients, is to learn to discern true from emotional hunger. This is where you can tangibly open your eyes up to this pattern. When are you emotionally eating? And to get an idea of what hunger should look like in the body. And this is you connecting back to your body, not running away from it. This is the first step to you starting to notice this pattern and catch your triggers, and to start resolving it, so that eventually when you want to resolve it, you can meet your true needs. And if you are ready to resolve this pattern and you want the process, the support, and the guidance, I'd love to invite you to find out more about the Emotional Eating Evolution Program. This is my 12-week container. It's full of support, coaching, guidance, and the in-depth tools and processes and the step-by-step process to move through your emotional eating and get to ease and confidence around food and in your body in a sustainable way. So you can find out more below. If you have any questions about what I've shared with you today, please let me know. This really is about shifting you from being dysregulated to regulated, not 100% of the time, knowing that you have the tools and the processes to get there so that you are resolving your emotional eating and meeting your true needs. So let me know if you have any questions. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and I look forward to sharing more with you, and I hope you have a great day.